Hello again, everybody. Zacatech is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for this evening, Thursday, May the 8th, 2014. My thoughts on tonight's Impact. We officially begin the World to Slammiversary tonight. Very interesting, kind of chaotic Impact tonight, as you would see by my subtitle. We had a heel turn tonight involving one MVP. Now, I should have seen this coming because I was watching the show and I saw two specific things on why I thought the MVP heel turn was going to happen, which it did. That there was two seeds planted that I didn't really see coming until I really dug back. It really thought to myself, wow, this heel turn was more hinted than I thought. Besides that, we got a debuting faction and an injury which could be storyline or fake. Now, when it comes to two things why I think the MVP heel turn should have been seen from a mile away began last week when MVP kind of prevented Bully Ray from burning Dixie Carter through a table. Last week, we saw Dixie being fed by Bully, and MVP says, "Not as long as I'm in charge, and not as long as you're in my building." So they kind of balled him and said, "Bully Ray, you cannot get your hands on Dixie in the zone, but outside, it's all good." Which led us to an ongoing, recurring segment of the evening, seeing Bully Ray invade TNA offices in Nashville, as Bully Ray kind of hinted towards last week. So he arrived at the offices, Dixie went out of Dodge. And of course, Rockstar Spud, her lapdog, was not talking. So Bully Ray decided to take over the office and have a little kegger party with all the staff members who all wore these Bully Fears Dixie shirts. In the end, they were all saying the mantra is tape. It was kind of a funny recurring thing. Especially when he gave Spud beer and kind of powerbombed him through a table. Went through his phone because Spud wasn't talking. So he kind of found Dixie's address, and we'll see how that goes next week. He'll probably chase her again next week. And the second seed that was planted for a possible MVP heel turn, which, of course, like I said, coming in, was what happened to begin Impact following Bully Ray, was involving Eric Young and Bobby Roode. Now, Eli wants to be a fighting champion. He wants to not be labeled as a paper champion. Wants to defend the championship every week. So he said that MVP wouldn't allow him legally to wrestle tonight, but Eli wants to make his own match anyway. Open challenge. So here goes Bobby Roode, the guy that Eli defeated last week. And the fans, I've said it last week, I think the fans in the Impact Zone were more chaotic with their unique chants. Like sometimes you see a guy that says, "I submitted to you last night," or last week, or whatever, you hear the "you tapped out" chants. But I never heard him say, "Yes, you lost. Yes, you lost" chants. Very original, kind of. But Roode's like, "Listen, I know I lost, Eli, but I want another shot against you. Let's shake on it." They shook on it, but MVP overruled it. And he was going to name an opponent for Eli at Slammiversary later on in the evening. The first opportunity, of course, Bobby Roode interrupted it. Kind of pissed off at MVP for not letting the match between him and Eli go on, which led to a Chevy match and a brawl between MVP and Bobby Roode, which led to Bobby Roode getting thrown out. So maybe a face turn for Bobby Roode, maybe, especially in light of what happened with MVP, as he would finally get an opportunity to name that opponent for Slammiversary. Before I get to that, let's get on down with the rest of the card. We would kick off with an evening gown match. I should call it Boy and Panties match. That's what it is, basically. Now, for all you people who are not around during Attitude Era, WWE, of course, there are matches like to call Boy and Panties matches. Or in other words, evening gown matches where you gotta strip your opponents down to a boy and panty. Well, in this case, it was evening gown. It stemmed from a segment last week when the beautiful people, of course, Angie and Velvet, were celebrating Angie's record-breaking 6th reign as TNA World Knockouts champion. But they were party crashed by Madison Rayne and Brittany, who stripped them out of those evening gowns to their boy and panties, which led to this first matchup. And I've said this about Brittany, that she needed to show more personality. And Brittany did show some personality in this matchup. And I think she's got a bright future as long as she works hard on the wrestling ability and gets herself out of this what. She's starting up pretty well, but we'll see how she does. She's got potential. She's got time. She's young. She's young talent. She's got time to develop herself, develop her character, develop her style. So we'll see how they go with how they do with Brittany. Brittany looked pretty well tonight in this matchup until, of course, the double team work of Angie and Velvet, which led to the referee being distracted with Angie tripping down Brittany to get stripped down to her bra and panties by Velvet, which led to, it was basically an elimination tag. When you get stripped down your bra and panties, you're out of the match. So with Brittany out, stripped down by Velvet, we were down basically to a 2-on-1 involving Madison and Angelina and Velvet. Now this match is very interesting to see TNA bring back the evening gown match / bra and panties matches. Knowing that WWE would have the balls to air this again, unless it's vintage on the network. You know what I mean? That's the only time we'll see bra and panties matches now, through the network, through old school walls and SmackDowns. But TNA had the balls to do a evening gown match / bra and panties match. So then Madison got back in the game following, she was outnumbered, but she outran the numbers. And eventually Madison took down Velvet and got Velvet down to her bra and panties. Stripped her out of that evening gown. So we were left with the final two. Angie and Madison. And Madison had things all around in hand. Trying to take care of Angie, she took the top off. But as Madison was ready to finish the job on Angelina, an okay little fun matchup. Like I said, I'd love to see an evening gown match again. 80 sort of point pants match. As Madison was finally ready to take down Angie, Madison was distracted, and so was the referee. As Velvet came back out wearing a towel after being stripped out of the bra and panties. She distracted referee Slick Johnson long enough to kind of do an exposure, kind of doing a mooning, letting her towel off to reveal boobies, with ref distracted, gave Angie time to spray Madison in the face once again with the hairspray, and got her back down to strip Madison down to the bra and panties, and Angie got the victory with a little help from a distraction from Velvet with the strip tease to referee Slick Johnson, or whatever the heck, Stifler, and of course the help from the distraction and of course the hairspray. Once again, Madison got doused with the spray, so there you go. This feud ain't gonna end anytime soon, involving Angie, Velvet, the beautiful people, of course, cleansing the ward, one ugly person at a time. I'm surprised I haven't said that phrase again yet. So there you go. Now on to our next matchup. Kurt Angle taking on EC3. Now I had a sneaky feeling. Not only did I have a sneaky feeling about MVP's heel turn, I saw the seeds planted that I should have been seeing weeks ago. Especially when MVP was being mean to Eric Young, which I'll get to in a second. But I should have seen this coming, and I saw this coming. I knew in my heart, I had a sneaky feeling that there'd be some sort of screwy ending involving EC3, because I wanted EC3's undefeated streak to finally come to an end. I felt it was time. 6 months, if you see my reviews, when he first debuted, I was pissed at the way he was being booked. About not being pushed into facing real competition fast enough. People on YouTube, there was a couple comments about people defending it, about defending the time frame it took for EC3 to finally develop himself and to finally get to lose. And I felt this was the night. But, despite the fact I wanted it and felt EC3, it was time, I had another feeling that there was some sort of screening, like a DQ or a count out to save EC3 from getting pinned or submitted. Well, it was a sneaky, freaky ending, a cheap ending, but not as cheap as I thought it was going to be with how cheap it ended up being. With Kurt Angle's knee injury coming back to bite him. Of course, we know a few weeks ago, EC3 took out Kurt Angle out with a knee injury, and Angle came back, but unfortunately, his knee injury came back to bite him in the ass. Despite Angle's motivation to try to get his hands on EC3. He had a good job of doing it. His knee buckled a few times. Even when he did the ankle slam and ready to set up the ankle lock, he pulled one strap down and his knee buckled. And it took EC3 the opportunity he needed. Of course, he was focusing on the knee already because that knee was already a target. But with Angle's knee buckling, it gave the knee more of a target as EC3 clipped the knee. Wound up Angle 1, 2, 3. Cheap victory for EC3. Like I said, cheap victory. I had a sneaky feeling about a cheap victory. I thought it would be like a DQ or count out. But not Angle's knee buckling and getting clipped from behind from EC3 to retain his undefeated streak. If Angle recovers in time, I hope he gets his hands on EC3 at Slammiversary. But they said, and you saw that X of, like, sometimes you see storyline injuries or fake injuries. You can't tell, like, I've said this for weeks about TNA. You can't tell in TNA what's real and what's storyline anymore in TNA. Because everything's so personal. Like say, oh, I hate your mama. Oh, it's pulling the shell. But it's like, you hate my mama? You know what I mean? It's like, they take things way too personal. Now, I've said that about TNA not being any fun. But with Angle's injury, I don't know if that's real or not. Especially when they took him back in the locker room with the x-rays, it looked real to me. When they said, Angle, you do need surgery. I thought he had surgery, but he must have overran the surgery. So they said to Angle later on, like I said, he needs surgery. So who knows how this will go on. If it's a storyline thing or whatever. But as of now, Angle's injured. You can see the face of the referee. When Angle went down, you get the X sign, for real injury. You can tell it was real, but who knows? With TNA, you never know. So you can't separate real from storyline anymore in TNA. You can't tell, like I said. But now on to our next scenario. Of course, we saw the Bobby Roode MVP situation and a continuing hunt for Dixie from Bully Ray, which ended up with Bully Ray chasing after Dixie again. To, of course, be captured next week. Now on to part if there was anything good about this Impact, this was it. Tag team ladder match. I was looking forward to this. After it was announced last week, Romance taking on the Wolves in a ladder match. And I knew it was going to be a fun match. And it was a fun match. It was a fun spots. I wish my only quip about this match, I wish they used the ladders more. And more weapons. That was my only quip. But despite that, and besides that, should I say, this was a fun matchup with not EC3, but another stepping boy. By the way, the Where's Your Boyfriend chance for EC3 came back last week, this week. So there you go. Because last week during EC3's promo, they were like saying, Where's your boyfriend? Those chants came back, once again applauding the originality and realness of this Impact Zone crowd. Anyway, DJ Z came out. It was basically chased out of the Impact Zone early by the Wolves, but they were sneak attacked by Bromance with the ladders before the match officially started. There was some fun spots, like I said, in this matchup. And there was some great double team with the ladders, some great teamwork for both teams with the ladders, some great double, like Bromance blocking a drop kick, double top kick from the Bromance, blocking that kick from the Wolves by pushing the ladder into him. There was two great spots in this matchup. Near towards the end, it was kind of a back and forth matchup. Like both guys were jockeying to get that ladder. Of course, when one team climbed the ladder, the other team was there to knock them off. At one point, you had both teams on two separate ladders next to each other and knocking each other off. The two spots that came near towards the end of the matchup were great. There was a ladder set beneath the, it was balance between the apron and a steel step. And Robbie landed on that ladder that was balanced atop a steel step and on an apron. So then Davey went up the top rope. I thought it was going to go for a big frog splash or something. A big splash off the top. And splash onto Robbie E and break this ladder. Instead, with Robbie on a ladder like this, and Davey on the top like this, he jumped up the top and did a double foot stomp, bang, foot stomp on Robbie on top of this ladder that was balanced on things. He didn't break it, but I thought he was going to break it. But a big warrior stomp, that was one of my favorite spots in this match with that warrior stomp. And that was, of course, one of the setups. But as both ladders were setting back up following that spot, Davey Eddie were ready to grab those belts again. But Zima Ion, DJZ, who was chased out, he came back into the front. And Romance were, of course, down and out. After they were going for those belts again, of course, Wolves took them out, and they were out on the outside. So then Zima climbed up to the ladders, trying to knock off Davey and Eddie. But then he got flapjacked up the top of the ladders. Of the top of the ladder, or ladders, should I say, of the top of the ladders onto the floor on top of Robbie and Jesse, who were starting to get back up off the ground. And the elevation of Zima. God, he suplexes that like a flapjack suplex off the top of those ladders onto the fallen Bullmans below. And after that fallen spot from Zima landing on top of the Bullmans, the Wolves took an opportunity with everybody down. They grabbed those belts off the top of the ladders and retained the tag team championships. And it was a fun match. Like I said, I expected this match to be good, and it was good. Some good spots in there. Fun action, great action for both these great teams. And I never thought I would say a great team for Bullman. Bullman did some good double teamwork tonight. I think both bands have gotten better. You know, I'm still not the biggest fan of Robbie E, but he did okay tonight in this ladder match. He had some great spots with Jesse, some great action, but I just wish there was some good tag teams left in TNA. There's not much tag teams left in TNA. They need some more new tag teams. Especially with Bad Influence out, of course. And probably one of the biggest losses in TNA besides losing AJ and now Joe's off a break. Daniels left at the beginning of April. That sucks about losing Daniels. He was so great. Not just as a singles guy, but specifically recently as a tag team guy with Kazami. And now with Daniels gone, Kaz is basically directionless. You know, he could benefit from this. You know, TNA really books him right. Unless Kaz decides to leave, especially if they're getting squashed tonight. If they really put the time and effort on Kaz, Kaz could really shine as a singles guy again. He hasn't been a singles competitor in a while. Mostly he's been tag teaming with Daniels. I've been saying it for a while. That Bad Influence were my favorite heel tag team in TNA. They were great heel. They knew how to push people's bumps, and they had great chemistry together. And it sucks that they're gone. But like I said, Kaz could take the advantage, and if TNA books him properly, he could really shine as a singles guy again. Unless they keep jobbing him to people like this. We have Nux coming out with his new posse. The man, I need to pronounce his fucking worldwide. The Menagerie. The Menagerie. Yes, we got Mason Ryan. I mean the Freak. Yes, I heard that was Mason Ryan underneath that mask. And then we have Steve. And then these guys on stilts. And then Rebel. Because we've seen these segments with Nux for the last couple of weeks. But we went back in TNA after being in Ace and Eights. And now they're gone. So they need a new character for Nux. So Nux is now the leader of this Menagerie. And to see Kaz job like this, God. If Kaz keeps on jobbing, he may leave. Like Daniels did. He may join Daniels in the Indies. Because I'm hearing Daniels may go back to Ring of Honor. Especially since AJ's back there. So who knows? But Kaz did show some fight in this match. But would indeed eventually be jobbed by Nux. God is a slap in the face to Kaz. You know what would be more of a slap in the face to Kaz? If he ends up jobbing the EC3. God, I don't want to see that. I do not want to see Kaz take on EC3. Especially the way he is now. He's directionless. You know, Kaz partnerless. Not just partnerless. He's directionless. With no Daniels, he's like, he needs a direction. I hope TNA takes the time with him to make him a single star again. But if he keeps on jobbing like this, he may end up leaving again. And like I said, I do not want to see Kaz against EC3. Because if Kaz takes on EC3, he's likely to get jobbed. Now I feel bad. That'll be a slap in the fucking face to Kaz. Who's worked his ass off. He's a TNA original, damn it. You're going to treat him like dirt to make him lose to an asshole like EC3? That better not fucking happen. Sorry. But I just feel bad for Kaz right now. You know, like I said, his partner's gone and he needs a direction. I hope TNA gives him to it. And I hope the direction is up. And I hope they don't send him in the direction of leaving. I don't want that. But it may happen if this keeps up. Now on to our next matchup, the main event. Before we get to the main event, we got a match made for last week. Following getting screwed by Storm last week, of course, Anderson got screwed by Storm, and Storm inadvertently kicked the hell out of Anderson in a match against Gunner last week for a shot at the TNA World title, then getting revenge on Storm by Mike checking him later in the evening. We got a match next week, Storm and Anderson. That was made. But now on to our main event. Magnus, speaking of being direction, let's go with Magnus. Since losing the title and now being put in the position to be in the title hunt last week, doing those series of matches when Gunner took on Storm and the winner would take on Rude. Rude would eventually win and of course take on EY. Magnus was ashamed and disappointed he wasn't a part of the number one contenders picture. And of course being chased by Abyss. We haven't seen Abyss tonight. Who knows? Maybe he'll be taking on Magnus at Slammiversary. But then we saw this guy, Graham, make his debut. Apparently one of Magnus's friends, childhood friends, storyline. He's like, hey, Magnus, I want to see your aggressive side again. You got to be more aggressive. You turned into a pussy, basically. So tonight, Graham kind of coaxed his friend to take on Hardy, Willow, tonight. And this is like the perfect thing for Willow's character. Because Jeff Hardy turned into Willow. The transformation of Willow kind of started when Jeff Hardy was screwed out of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship during the Dixieland match when he was screwed by Rockstar Spud and Dixie Carter. When Hardy came back after he left the company, when Dixie ruled with an iron fist before MVP's now apparently going to rule with an iron fist, Hardy, basically Willow, since he came back as his alter ego after leaving, after being frustrated with Dixie's control, he's basically has targeted anyone and everyone that was associated with Dixie, especially Dixie's cronies. He took care of EC3. He took care of Rockstar Spud. Now it's time to take care of the catalyst for all this. Magnus, the one that benefited from the screw job during the Dixieland match back in November. That kind of started the planning of the seeds for Hardy to adopt this vicious and crazier alter ego. And my mom watches Impact, and she calls Hardy Freak Show. I think the Menagerie. I need to pronounce that fucking phrase, man. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing. The Menagerie. Yeah, the Menagerie is a bigger freak show than Hardy, and I do mean they're literally a fucking freak show. Especially that Steve guy twisted his neck back and forth. That was kind of freaky. It is a freak show atmosphere, and they're portraying that freak show thing well. But on to the other freak show. Jeff Hardy, Willow taking on Magnus with Graham in his corner. Now, of course, Willow being welling on adrenaline, he basically was sneak attacked by Magnus early on. As he ran to the ring, going out the outside, Magnus attacked him from behind, trying to get the advantage early. But Willow, trying to finally take care of his ongoing vendetta against anyone and everyone who was on Team Dixie, especially the Catalyst who benefited from Hardy getting screwed, Magnus. Hardy came back, Willow came back in full control and did all of his freaky moves, trying to go for the twist of fate and everything. But of course, Magnus came back with a slide move. It was a decent main event with a screwy ending. As Willow was in full control, Magnus was not showing more aggressiveness. Of course, his friend Graham has been wanting Magnus to show his aggressive side. And basically, it came down to Graham saying, or showing Magnus, if you ain't gonna play dirty, play aggressive, I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna show you what aggressive looks like. So with Willow on the outside after delivering a big move to Magnus, a slide move from under the middle rope, under the bottom rope, onto the floor of Magnus' prone body, Graham attacked Willow, causing a disqualification, ramming Willow against the steel steps, and showing Magnus, this is how it's done. This is how you be aggressive. So he handcuffed Hardy to the ring rope, to the bottom ring rope. And with Willow handcuffed, Graham pulled out a turnbuckle handle, like one of the handles for the turnbuckles. And he nailed Hardy Willow with the turnbuckle thing right at his chest. Like, just nailed him. A thing that Magnus has been carrying around. So this Graham-Magnus relationship is kind of questioning right now. It's kind of puzzling right now. It's not much we can go with right now. But further seeds and further answers will be shown within the next couple weeks. This whole Graham Magnus relationship with Graham wanted to encourage Magnus to bring back his aggressive side and try to get back in the title hunt. But of course, he would not get another shot at Slammiversary. He was not named the opponent for EY, which would lead to our last segment. After Bobby Roode's interruption and getting kicked out, MVP would try to once again introduce EY's opponent for Slammiversary. Now, I should have seen, as you see by the subtitle, at the end of the segment, MVP turns heel. Now, I should have seen this a while ago. A couple weeks ago, when Magnus was still champion and Joe was getting screwed out of every title opportunity thanks to endless interference by Abyss, there was a triple threat match set. Joe, Magnus, and Abyss. And EY, who had an issue with Abyss, and may still do, have an issue with Abyss, wanted to be inserted into this match to make it a fatal four-way for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And MVP did not think EY was qualified for a title opportunity. But EY showed his passion, and it made MVP change his mind. But that could have been a catalyst for what happened later on. Now, like I said earlier, the seeds, I should have seen more seeds planted for this heel turn. I saw it kind of planted. I really looked back on it. Like I said, it didn't really hit me till tonight. I was like, wait a minute. I think MVP is going to turn heel because he made, because of the way, like I said at the beginning, of the way he kind of prevented Bully Ray from putting Dixie through a table. I kind of had a sneaky suspicion by the end of the evening, especially with Edmund Root. I was like, I would not be surprised if MVP turns heel tonight. I see a heel turn happening. I didn't say tonight. I just said that eventually MVP is going to turn heel. I see the seeds planted for it, and it may happen. It may happen sooner than we thought. It happened sooner than we thought. MVP's like, well, EY, here comes your opponent. Oh, he must be late then. I'm going to show you. Bang! He attacked Eric Young with the microphone and started beating down Eric Young. That's the heel turn. So, at Slammiversary, it'll be EY against MVP for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Another Slammiversary, another year, and another Slammiversary without the King of the Mountain main event. What is it, like the 4th or 5th year without a King of the Mountain match? Is it because, like I said it last week or a couple weeks ago about wanting to see King of the Mountain back. Maybe it's because Jeff Jarrett took that concept with him. He was nicknamed King of the Mountain. He took it with him, maybe, for his Global Wrestling Force company. And maybe Daniels will go there. And maybe Kaz if he leaves. So, we'll see what happens with Daniels and eventually Kaz, especially after what happened tonight. So, anyway, it's EY and MVP, this feud. Like I said, it could have been. I should have saw this coming. The way MVP was treating EY, like not believing in EY. He said he believed in him, but it's like might have been a ploy. And I said it that when MVP first debuted as this investor, I was like, this investor character may not last long, and may come as a wrestler. I saw him better as a wrestler than an investor character. But now he's a character again as a wrestler. So we'll see how that goes. And when Bully Ray turned on Dixie at Lockdown and helped MVP win at Lockdown to make him the president of operations, the director of wrestling operations, Bully Ray said he did what he did to screw Dixie Carter to prevent any more Dixie Carters from coming in, especially since Rude was supposed to own 10% if he would have won the match with Dixie. So Bully Ray was preventing another Dixie Carter from being in there, but unfortunately, MVP may become what we all did not want him to and what he despises. His character kind of despises. MVP may become another Dixie Carter. Another power-hungry guy wanting things with an iron fist. We'll see how that goes as this storyline, this feud between EY and MVP develops more as we head towards Slammiversary. So the main event is set for Slammiversary. We'll probably get more matches named for this pay-per-view next couple weeks. But till then, next week, we got Storm and Anderson. We'll see what happens then as we head down the road to Slammiversary. And with that in mind, You've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all very much for watching this Impact Wrestling review. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, everybody. Yeah, see ya. Oh, yeah.